shake, rattle, and troll.
It's time for the award-winning Shake, Rattle, and Troll. A show for the serious fishermen as well as the novice looking for tips from the pros. Shake, Rattle, and Troll brought to you by Bill Lute Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram. I-17 and Camelback Road since 1927.
Yeah, we got the power, we got the speed. We're running wide open on a midsummer breeze. Fresh water, salt water, watch out, boys. Bass Daddy Don's gonna make some noise. It's me and the boys gonna shake, rattle, and...
Now, here's your host, saltwater fisherman, the man that fears no fish, Bass Daddy and Tournament Pro, Don McDowell.
Yeah, man. Hey, welcome to Shake, Rattle, and Troll. I'm Don McDowell. My co-host JK's in the house with a backpack. What's up with that?
You know, every Sunday morning, as long as there's enough light to do it, I do a 3.6-mile loop in South Mountain, and then I head in.
Rumor has it you're going to be paying $4 an hour if the city council has anything to do with it. Just not to use the trails, but to park in the parking lot.
Well, you know what? There's a QT about a half mile away. It just makes it a 4-mile loop then.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm pretty excited about today. We have a really special guest, Big Game Branch Chief Brian Wakely from, yep, you guessed it, azgfd.gov.
Sayonara,
nice.
Brian.
He's down here for a couple reasons. One of them just because he can, and secondly, we're going to bid him farewell and...
So long, farewell. I'm not going to sing, don't worry.
Okay. Well, you're doing a good job. I want to thank you for coming down, truly. You've been a Big Game Branch Chief for how long now for us?
I've officially been the game chief since about January of 2009.
About.
That's when I quit getting elk tagged.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Did you notice that? There was that 4 years stretch where we didn't get drawn for anything?
Well, I was also the big game supervisor since about 2000, so I've probably been, messing you guys up for a little bit longer than that.
Well, actually, I think my my deficit started when Larry Riley was sitting right here.
Oh, boy.
And he came in and, you got to love Larry Riley. He was my first chief, and we put some telephone books on the chair so we could reach the microphone. the term walking probable cause popped out of his mouth, and my ability to get big game tags decreased significantly. I'm just saying. I know it's a lottery system.
And it absolutely is. And, there's a lot of things you can do to influence your luck.
Yeah.
Now, do you have, are you going to buy
my mouth shut's one of them, right?
Okay, just so we all know, too, as of on Tuesday, that's Brian's last day with the department, and then you're going over to Nevada.
That is correct.
Oh. Are you buying a lifetime license from Arizona?
Yes, I am.
Nice. I think maybe Wednesday I'll go up there and file a records request and get all of these GPS waypoints off of the surveys for my home unit.
Oh yeah.
Well, and one of the big impetus for me to buy that, I mean, if you want to look at my accumulated bonus points, you can see how valuable.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, when you're leaving now, how many bonus points do you have in each species?
Well, I can tell you the two that are probably the most at the forefront. I think I'm sitting somewhere about 25 on buffalo, real close on sheep, and then pronghorn, I'm sitting around 15,
I think
16.
there's a commission order that those don't roll over when you leave.
I think if the department was really being nice, as part of his severance package, he'd get one of each, but it would have to be one each year.
You know what? I'm going to blue slip that at the Friday commission meeting. I can.
Well, that's right. They're meeting. Where are they meeting? Is it back here on the Ivory Towers finally this month?
No, not this month. It's up in Pine Top.
Yep.
Are you going up? No.
Well, I'm torn. There's two. I need to be there. Chief Cantrell, with all due respect, has a lot on his fish platter for both Friday and Saturday. A lot of stuff going on the fishery side.
You telling me he's got a lot of lines in the water?
That boy's noodling, I'm telling you.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he's got his hand out on a couple of these things that we're talking about fisheries and doing some conversions here in bubbling springs, bubbling ponds, whatever.
Warm water fisheries.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, we have to do the indigenous fish, if you will, and then there's some talk about the chubs and some other things that
The humpback chub.
the have-to fish.
That's we're going to do that. That's a good name for them now.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and I'd invite anybody that has some extra time to engage in the process, and it's a big part of the process is going to the meetings, filling out a blue slip, telling them what you think in a professional, non-emotional manner.
There's a whole lot of people who miss the second half of that. Well, non-emotional.
You have 5 commissioners and 27 officers back there with tasers. I can tell you from firsthand experience.
That was my other question. Have you ever been tasered, Brian?
Yes. I never have been tasered, and
I thought that was a requirement. If you're going to carry one, you're going to have to pack.
Well, and I, most of our, you see that with, especially with like things like mace with the enforcement officers when they have to go mace themselves. They all carry sidearms too. They don't try that on themselves. I mean, I'm not sure what the requirement there is, but it's an interesting approach.
They
should load those sidearms with tranquilizer darts.
Rubber bullets. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for your service for Arizona and all the constituency.
We will miss you, Brian.
It's been a real pleasure.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's been an honor. I've lived here my entire life. I've worked here my entire life, and you can't find a better. And that's the thing, as I've had the opportunity to work with sportsmen across the state, I've had some things happen in my personal life, and the thing that really drives home the value of having worked with those people is, the support you get from the public, the support you get from your coworkers. It's just been tremendous, and it truly has been an honor to work here.
Well, John and I have been talking about it. We've been talking about it, even with the commission and Director Voiles, Jim DeVos, and Chris Cantrell. You're a big part of that. I think we've got, the most solid key personnel at the department that I've seen for a long, long, long time, as well as the commission. We've just got a kick-butt commission, and
you've lived through some interesting years of commissioners. I mean, if I go back to you were part and parcel of the end of the McLean Golightly era, Jennifer Martin, Norm Freeman, Robbie Woodhouse, and now we have a commission that we kind of respect a whole lot more.
Yeah.
I've always respected the position, just questionable as to some of the personnel who occupied that seat for that 5-year stretch.
Yeah, we got a bunch of good guys. I'd like to think moving into the fights that we're looking at on the table, on the ground, in the field. We've got some warlords up there, and we haven't had that for a while.
Well,
Brian, we'd like to send you to Nevada with a new Shake, Rattle, and Troll visor.
Oh, that goes well on the golf course, Brian, just so you know.
All right.
We're going to send you off with a free-range bacon shirt.
Just warn them.
That's my Feral Hog logo, if you will. Smoke them if you got them. Free-range bacon. Oh, yeah. And, as always, the Bad Wolf shirt.
Speaking of which, I've heard there's a ton of suitable habitat in Nevada for Mexican gray wolves. Just saying.
I'm just kind of looking at the abundance of a lot of the ungulates up there, and I've always considered Arizona to kind of be a real challenge to get a good number, and they may have to work some to find enough to eat in some of those little sagebrush areas.
However, you do have a whole boatload of horses that you don't really need.
I was thinking about that. That's some really good habitat for Nevada. Woof.
Woof.
And last but not least, here's a pair of Kiss My Bass boxer shorts for your last day at work.
All right.
And a bag to put them in.
Thank you kindly.
Have fun. And the same goes for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, buddy. All right.
What does the commando do with Kiss My Bass underwear? He's going to leave that one alone.
I'm not going there. So what are your plans moving into next month?
Well, moving into next month, I've got an awful lot of kind of understanding what the situation and the conditions, and trying to move into another state and trying to understand their issues, their challenges. I don't want to make too many assumptions. I don't even know where the paper clips are kept yet. So.
Yeah, but you know what? You just inherited Clive and Bundy, dude.
Desert tortoise high on your priority list now.
All the guys came to know and love here: the Sierra Club, CBD, DOW, Guardians of the Earth. They're in Nevada.
And there's also I know quite a few of the biologists in Nevada. They're just about everywhere you go. There's really a talented group of people that really believe strongly in what they do, and Nevada's no different than Arizona on that front. Everybody I know up there, very, very dedicated, very, very committed, and it's all just a challenge of getting to understand the issues and trying to work hard with people rather than against them.
That's a good point. I've said this a lot of times in public and at the department with the commission. The people, I wish the John Q. Public, Joe the plumber, and our constituency could know the folks at the department like I do, working shoulder to shoulder with you guys. Because it's not just a job, it's a commitment. You have to have a commitment to work in that environment and do what you guys do. And God bless you for doing that. Hey, we're going to step down. Thanks some of our sponsors. Hey, there's a great big 3-day sale going on over at I-17 and West Camelback Road at Bill Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, and there's hot dogs involved, J.K.
I knew that.
There is. Oh, man. I was down there yesterday. Wow. Hey, if you're looking for a vehicle, check them out. Today's the day. I'm Don McDowell here with
Special K
and
Brian Wakely.
We'll be right back.
I got my toes in the water, ass in the sand. Not a worry in the world. This should be your song, Brian.
Yeah. Wait till next Tuesday.
Yeah.
All right, and we're back visiting with Arizona Big Game Branch Chief Brian Wakeling, retiring, headed to Reno, Nevada.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. That visor actually is for the poker table.
Okay.
And a pair of shades, and you're good to go.
That, and it's color coordinated with your new boxer shorts. So it's always good to be color coordinated. It's all good.
That's good.
Moving through the balance of the show, we're going to be talking to another really cool guy you need to know. You can go to the SRT website, ShakeRattleAndTroll.com. We've got under the Need to Know section, Tom Remington has a website with all kinds of updated information on issues that are in my world, your world, pertinent to what's going on from the antis, especially. We'll be talking to Tom at the top of the second hour. Try to get a hold of Captain Bill on the sport motor vessel Malahini.
There's a little bit of chop out there now.
It's starting to calm down. The fish counts, JK, are Friday they were still holding 100 miles or so out. There was some pretty bumpy stuff, 12 to 15 foot water. The fish count on the 3/4 day boats on Friday was 3.69 fish per stick. They had 103 anglers out. They had 269 yellowfin, 77 yellowtail, bonita, and 7 skipjack, making me nervous there. The day boats, 223 anglers aboard 10 vessels, 733 yellowfin, 48 yellowtail, 11 dorado, and not the partridge in a pear tree, but a 7 skipjack. And then we'll talk about what happened yesterday. And that 1 day dock total for Friday was 3.49 fish per stick. So
that's a lot of fish in the boat.
It's good. It went up Saturday to 4.44 per stick, We'll may as well talk about that. The day boats had 230 anglers out on 10 vessels, 975 yellowfin, 26 yellowtail, 4 Rattle, 17 skipjack. The skipjack number keeps going up. The further out you go, the more there are. And
we haven't heard anything about bluefin lately.
Bluefin, nap, they put their heads down, and I think they turned
west,
turned left, and
they're in Japan.
Yeah, I don't quite get it. They go on a suicide mission. If I was a bluefin, that's the last place I'm going. I'm sorry. I just, you go hang out in Oregon where the water's always bumpy and nobody can get to you. So anyway, we'll be talking to Captain Bill perhaps, and if that fails, we'll talk to Rick over at the tackle store. Being a 3-day holiday, I know they're getting slammed over there. And then going into the 45, the last segment of the first hour here, where we do roll call. Good information. We do not have any soldiers to honor this week that were killed in action last week. There was a bunch of wounded guys, but DOD is keeping the lid on that. They don't want us to know how many people are getting hurt. We do have one guy to mention from Desert Breeze Community Church. And then we'll be talking to our Vietnam poster soldier, retired Lieutenant
Vernon Bagley.
Vernon Bagley, yep. He's after somebody today on the backstory having to do with the VA. Just so you'll know, Vernon is the CEO of Project We Remember, the Military Families Foundation. We're working with the VA to try to do something with the veterans that can't get transportation under the rule from home to outpatient treatment, chemotherapy, whatever the case is. So, we've got a new commander at VA. Rumor has it no policy changes have been made. I don't know if he's trying to get his feet wet. I know where his direction's coming, but we'll save that for later and let Vern bang on him. I'm getting enough trouble as it is. So, anyway, back to you. What are your plans?
Well,
you got a brand new state. This is like going on safari, dude.
It is. Well, and they've got challenges there. Just as it's a lot of people look at, hey, was Brian trying to run away from problems in Arizona? That wasn't the case at all. It's been like I said, a really great career, a really great opportunity. Jim
DeVos said something about a traitor and a quitter. I didn't quite track on that.
I don't. It could certainly come off in that fashion, but it was just a really great opportunity.
You know what? You have to do what you have to do these days.
Well,
I'm sorry.
And for me, it was a really good opportunity. I wasn't out looking for work per se. I was had a really good job here. I was doing what I really loved to do, and this opportunity was presented to me, and the timing is great. With 26 years with the agency,
man,
I was able to retire here and take advantage of that, and so that makes it a really cool opportunity for me and for my family to kind of take advantage of a new state as well. My wife and my younger son are both real excited for the opportunity, and so we're going to go see what Nevada has to offer.
I would call that a smart move. Congratulations.
Well,
seriously, yeah.
Okay, you mentioned your younger son. How's Seth doing?
Seth's doing real well. As a matter of fact, he's got an elk hunt coming up here.
Oh, come on. Every time I talk to you, he's got an elk hunt. He just got off a turkey hunt, going on a gator hunt.
Yep, exactly. And that's the thing that a lot of people probably, people who grew up hunting, and I actually didn't grow up hunting. That was something I adopted after my folks didn't hunt. It was something that was, to me, it was very, I think it was genetic. For me, it was something that I was going to do, and so recruiting me was not hard. I just had to have the opportunity.
Well, some of us, our primordial genes are closer to the surface than others.
I believe that totally, because nobody ever taught me to hunt.
I do. Well, I agree with you.
You look around. You look at a bunch of guys around a campfire. When the campfire starts, and as the evening goes down and the flames get lower, the attitude and everything turns to
Yeah, their knuckles start dragging on the...
Exactly.
And in Don's case, they've dragged permanently.
But it is something that really is something that is very visceral. People that don't understand it.
I guess that's the saying. No explanation's necessary, and for those who don't, no explanation's possible.
They're de-evolved.
Yeah, and for Seth, and for Micah and my wife Dina, all of us, this has been this is what we do as a family, and so
cool.
It's one of those things that helps you relax, become. All the stresses that you have, no matter where they are, be it from battle, be it from sitting in the office, anything, it makes you feel alive. It brings you back to and we talk a lot about the various perspectives of the various commissioners over the years. I find that commissioners are just as dedicated and they believe just as strongly. Sometimes they bring different perspectives to it. But the thing is that hunters and anglers and recreational shooters are the ones that continue to support the conservation of wildlife in Arizona and across North America.
Good thought. Having said all that, we're just going to go to a break. Get her done.
You say you did me wrong. I just don't see how that
Rio Grande into Yellowstone, and I've seen firsthand Niagara Falls.
Alrighty, we're back with Big Game Branch Chief.
One more day.
What's your new title going to be? Same thing?
It'll be the Game Division Administrator up there.
Game Division. I like Big Game Branch Chief better.
Yeah, that sounds
Change the name when you get there.
Really political.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
Ooh, administrator. That means flying a desk. No more field time.
Well, it's kind of not too indifferent from what I always make sure that I get out in the field.
No kidding. Every time I talk to you, you're out, trying to ride a buffalo.
What is the standard joke, Ben? When I get him on my first call, I go, it's buy lottery ticket day. I've been lucky now.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Everybody uses their luck. Everybody's born with a finite amount of luck, and you can use it, by getting drawn for a sheep tag or winning the lottery or hitting me in the office.
Okay, chastised, duly chastised. Well, however, I can never get hold of Connie either, so you tell me what's going on there.
Well, your indoctrination is going to be scouring the state.
Absolutely.
Unit by unit by unit.
If I can sell that, that's exactly the way I'm going to do it.
I mean, you have to have first-hand knowledge. So that means a new 4-wheel drive truck fully equipped, a trailer, and a quad.
He doesn't need the quad. He needs helicopter time is what he needs. Yeah. Basically, I've always been of the opinion that there's not much south of Vegas, in terms of habitat. But the northern portion I would dearly love to be involved with.
Well, and even south of Vegas, there are quite a few sheep down there.
Absolutely.
And they're, Nevada's got twice the sheep that we have.
How about the deer population?
Deer population is pretty similar.
Going down.
Yeah. I mean, Arizona's is going up, though.
When you increase 10%, but you've gone through 20 years of losing 20% each year, the 10% increase is woohoo! Yeah, we're up to nothing now.
We're probably 30% above where we were in 2003, but we are still 50% below where we were in about
1993.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
That's Larry Riley's fault. I'm just saying.
Boy. No, that's the anti-trapping referendum in 1993 that did away with a lot of problems for us.
Well, and that's it certainly makes it challenging every time we lose a tool in wildlife management.
Any tool,
right? It becomes more challenging to direct the way we want things to go. But we had already lost most of the trappers before that. The prohibition on foothold traps on public lands was...
The handwriting was on the wall with that one. And also, I know, and I know, too, that the water situation over the years has not been the best. We haven't had as much moisture in Arizona as we would have liked.
You're absolutely correct. 2002 was just absolutely a horrendous drought.
I remember that.
Well, there's a big fight brewing in Nevada over water coming out of Meade. That's a whole new deal. Now they're wanting to pull southern Nevada, wanting to pull water from northern Nevada, and the ranchers and farmers are getting excited.
Well, and like we've learned in Arizona, water will run uphill to money.
Yeah.
Oh,
The only
yeah.
problem is we need to just turn down the wattage in Vegas by 12%, and there'd be more than enough water for everybody.
Are you going to take time to see what type of anti-issues Nevada's facing?
Well, we were just talking about some of the trapping issues here. There certainly have some currently some more liberal trapping opportunities, but they're facing challenges there. New Mexico's facing challenges on trapping. It's. I don't have issues with people having a different perspective, but every time you take a tool away, it makes it that much more difficult to either, achieve the objectives that you're trying to get, which I think everybody wants to have a balanced population that is manageable and is abundant so that people can see all species. And not only that, you're taking away the way we're actually able to pay for the conservation.
That was a well-put statement. I will take issue with it. The antis, they want us off the landscape. They don't want you to have a job.
Well,
they don't want me to go fishing. They don't want John to go hunting. They're following the money. It's not about the animals. It's a philosophical difference. It's called Agenda 21, and I'll lock horns with anybody that wants to lock horns on that. Read the damn thing. Adopted by the UN, signed by Bill Clinton. They want us off the landscape.
Well, and that is a very different philosophical perspective, and you're right.
It's happening.
Yeah.
You look across the country about land acquisition, restrictions, water, all this stuff, sustainable development, and I've been called an alarmist, but God darn it, you just look at everything nationally and seeing all these little, a national park here, a monument here, or this or that, and at the end of the day, at the end of my life, we're going to have 50% less, unless I go tomorrow, of what we have today.
And I think you're correct. And the reason I believe that is a lot of people have the assumption that if I just leave everything alone, everything will be fine.
Everything will take care of itself, which we know is not true.
It doesn't actually work that way in virtually anything you can think of. Your bank account, your health, your lawn,
The American economy.
I've tried
is
that
that
with
exception.
my lawn. It doesn't work well.
Yeah.
And that's what Bill Clinton did. He did a couple things I'm mad at him for. That, with the UN resolution, he gave missile and aircraft guidance systems, to China, and we're going to deal with that sooner than later. But he left the economy alone. I mean, he was too busy playing patty cake and, doing these other things, partying. I don't blame you.
Hey, listen, if Congressman Salmon can say that he yearns for the days of working with President Clinton because they negotiated and they got things done on a comparative basis to now, that tells me that he wasn't nearly as bad as our current commander-in-chief.
Oh, yeah. You can't compare what we have today with anything. We've never seen this kind of crap coming out of the hill.
Well, and I think you hit on a really important term there, just the whole ability to negotiate, and that's on any issue, anywhere. If we're talking about where we want to go with mule deer populations, if we're talking what we want to do with scale quail populations, if we work together and we invite people to the table, what's frustrating is when you invite someone to the table, they refuse to come, and then they throw stones at you afterwards.
I guess we look at it that way with like the Center as well as the Sierra Club. The Sierra Club on the issue of wolves. They want to recover an entire species in the whole state of Arizona. They want them into Utah, Colorado, in the areas where they never were before as a species because of the desire to bring it back. But be buried within all of that is the fact that they really don't want us on the land. Today's issue of the Republic has a huge, huge spread on wilderness designation, since we're speaking about that.
Mm-hmm.
And their concept is to leave everything alone. Well, if we do that, the Smokey the Bear philosophy, if we had left the forests alone and let nature take in its courses, we never would have put out a single fire over the years. Because prior to 1900, you couldn't. What did we have? Tremendous amounts of grasslands with healthy forests. Now that Smokey the Bear, since 1944, 45, whenever he came into existence, they've stifled everything, stopped everything, put them out as much as they could, and made sure that nothing happened to any of them. What do you wind up with? 12 inches of duff underneath pine trees that are just great for incendiary areas.
Well, and they're not very productive areas. There's not any forage.
No, there's no food.
It's too closed in.
Yep.
And when it does start, it's a catastrophic wildfire. And the Rodeo Chudowsky, the Wallow Fire, those things happen again because we chose as a society not to manage the forest. We chose to extinguish every fire. And I'm not advocating that we let every fire go, because every fire is not a good fire.
No.
But if we manage it, again, managing it,
not leaving alone totally.
There's a term that, in my discussions and negotiations and pleadings with the department, the term adaptive management keeps coming up, and we've got government agents, and they're not one of them. We've got new adaptive management procedures popping up all the time with the department. But let's say Salt River Project that we have to live with here, I think is deficient in the ability to adapt their management to the drought situation, the dam operations, all under the auspices of, we just want everybody to have a hot shower. Oh, right. Well, go shower with your neighbor's wife. Save water.
Well, I'm not sure. Yeah. Anyhow.
Just leave them alone. The meds haven't kicked in yet, but they will by the second hour.
Adaptive management is another term that's used very loosely. And basically, people use it to mean that we want to be able to do whatever the heck we want to do because we want to do it. Adaptive management has a very structured way that it's supposed to be applied, predefined. Under these situations, this is what
It's
occurs.
not responsive management, then?
And
responsive is different than adaptive.
I know. That's what I'm trying to feel, though.
It is. And responsive and responsible, you can respond to your management needs, but you need to be responsible.
Ooh,
You're good.
Semantics, boy.
This guy.
That's what. There's a reason we called him the Teflon Brian.
He's my writing candidate. All righty, we're going to stand down. When we come back, we'll talk to Vern Bagley, talk a little bit about roll call and what's going on in our neighborhood affecting us. I'm Don McDowell with
Brian Wakeman
and
Special K.
He's got a soapbox today.
I'm a resident redneck.
All righty, we're back. I want to welcome Vernon Bagley, CEO of Military Families Foundation, on the backstory today. LT, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, I am doing well, and sounds like you're having a good time today.
Our friend Brian Wakeling's here, and I don't have to call him Chief anymore. Well, a couple more days, but that'll work. But now I'm having to retrain myself. He is an administrator.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, we all learned that in the third grade.
Paper clips, pencils.
Yep. You got one of those administrative paddles. Okay. All right. What's on your hit list today, my friend?
Well, I'd like to continue with what we'd started last Sunday, and follow up on this VA situation.
Let's do it.
During the past week, we now have a report down from the Inspector General, who's supposed to be an independent organization that is put, Congress sends them out, and they go look at agencies and come back with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Well, unfortunately, that didn't quite occur in the report that they just submitted on the VA issue, the 44 that were purported to have died waiting for care, that issue that came out this spring.
Really? Yeah.
And here's the doublespeak that we get all the time from our politicians, from our government agencies. Let me just read a couple quotes from this document, and you tell me if you don't think there's some shenanigans going on. It says, the first thing that they were looking at was, did 40 veterans die waiting for appointments? And Don and listeners, this, by the way, this waiting for appointments was not for a week or two. This would go from anywhere from 3 months to 1 year. and in accordance to this report and to others, 3 months to 1 year waiting for an appointment.
Vern, let me ask you this. Since that report, how many have perished?
Well, don't know, because there's no one like Dr. Sam Foote who is stepping forward to saying, hey, we got a bunch of others. But I can assure you that, Don, I was just down not too recently at the VA, and, they still don't have a solution for this problem. So it's very likely that it's an ongoing problem. But here's the thing. The Inspector General's report says they cannot conclusively assert. The direct quote is, we are unable to conclusively assert that the absence of timely quality care caused the deaths of these veterans. Now, what does conclusively assert mean?
Well, unfortunately, I was talking, had made mention about Bill Clinton. I'm still trying to figure out the definition of the word is. Okay. Help me with that.
Yeah. Well, here's where they really step on it. I mean, most reporters, most media, the president, the secretary of the VA now, none of them mentioned the next part and really got into it. It says what they did find was that the absence of timely quality care caused the deaths of these veterans. Now, isn't that timely thing, this appointment issue? But instead of saying it's the appointment issue, it's a lack of timely quality care.
Vern, they're going to take this and they're going to twist it any way that they can to be unaccountable for what that administration has done.
Oh,
they're not going to stand up and say, okay, we did this, we're responsible for it, but we need to fix it.
Well, this is where I'm asking you and your listeners and the people sitting with you today, is that you and I, we have to stand up, and we cannot let this story die, because I can assure you they have written this report in such a way that it will be swept underneath the rug very quickly, and nothing of any long-lasting value will happen for our veterans. And the only way it is going to happen is if we, the people, keep the pressure on our government officials to say, resolve this problem. Now, Don, I don't know if we have another minute left in time here, but if we do, I'd like to just kind of draw a parallel.
Yep, another minute.
If you don't mind.
Go ahead.
If you or any of your listeners, you do not rely on the VA. And I'm going to ask 3 quick questions, and just answer them yourself. If you called your doctor to make an appointment, and he couldn't schedule you for 3 months, now this is if you don't rely on the VA help, for 3 months, would you stay with that doctor? Just a question. Answer it yourself. Secondly, if you found that your doctor did not provide quality care, would you go back? And then lastly, if you became aware that other patients of this private practice were dying because of poor treatment, would you return? Well, if the answer to all of those 3 are no, then why are we subjecting our veteran community to this type of practice?
I don't get it, Vern.
One of the other things, though, and I always like to play devil's advocate. My dad regularly visits the VA, and one of the comments that my mother made, because she is the driver, and he goes down regularly now since he's been declared 100% disabled, and that is that she noticed a change in attitude. She's always had a guardian angel down at the VA here in Phoenix, and her name was Eva, and she has taken wonderful care of my dad and made sure that some of the things he needed. So it seems to be, it's almost like, who do you encounter and in what scenarios and the level of expertise needed? My dad's been relatively healthy. I mean, the age factor with his hearing and his vision and those things are there's something nobody can do anything about. It's just the atrophy that went on. Yeah. So it seems like depending on who you encounter and how, and they listen very aptly every Sunday to what you have to say, Vern, and they said sometimes it's really, really good, and they've noticed a determined change in protocols and a determined change in trying to be adaptive to people coming in the door now than they were, say, 3-4 years ago.
Well, let me go on and just agree with what they're saying.
Okay, another minute, Vern, and then we got to wrap it up.
This is not a people problem. The vast majority of the people who work at all the VAs, all the hospitals, all the clinics are good people, and they really care. There's a few that I've experienced. I'm sure your parents have experienced it. Hey, they just soon you didn't walk in the door. But that's very few. This is not a people problem. This is a agency problem with the rules and regulations that are currently in place. That's the problem.
Vern, I'm going to take issue with that. You've got a union involved down there, and any time that you have a union, they're getting somebody that's deficient in their responsibility, in their duties, their fiduciary responsibility for the position that they hold, you can't terminate them because of a damn business agent or union rules and regulations. And we've seen that time and time again. Detroit ring a bell. The car makers ring a bell.
Mm-hmm. Well, sure.
That right there is a huge problem. When you've got an administrator that says, okay, Brian, you're done. Go to payroll. We don't like what you did. They can't do that.
They cannot. Even under the new legislation, Don, only senior management people fall under this you can get fired rule.
Yeah, I get it. Vern, we got to get this thing wrapped up. And by the way, they're not ever going to find Jimmy Hoffa. Never.
Well, they're not going to find him because they know where he is.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure that's the case. All I'm saying is they're not going to find him. I can guess he's probably in the cheap seats under the north end zone.
Okay.
All righty, Vern, I appreciate you. We'll catch up with you next week, and God love you. Thank you for your service and doing what you're doing for the vets.
Hey, you're welcome. You guys take care.
All right, Vernon Bagley. Boy, I'll tell you what. Vern's got a long history personally with the VA.
He's had serious
with his PTSD, Agent Orange, congenital heart failure, and besides that, he's short. They haven't been able to fix that yet, but they're working on it. That's why we give him a soapbox every Sunday morning. All righty, there's one guy. We don't have any soldiers killed in action in theater this past week. Thank goodness for that. We did lose Bill Newsom, William Davis Newsom, from Desert Breeze Community Church, was head of the CR program for years and years and years. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family, those that he left behind at CR, and certainly all the people that he has helped, and a big heartfelt loss at Desert Breeze Community Church. Big loss. Just huge. Had a bout with cancer. Actually 4 different times. They did surgery, had some brain issues going on, and he was declared a clean bill of health. Came back, did it again, came back, did it again, and then it came back 10 times worse than it was when they started. So that's a huge loss to the community. Other than that, I would really want to thank all the guys that came to your support. Seth had an issue, and God love him. We can't say enough about those guys that do have issues and come back, and the government taking pretty good care of him, it sounds like.
Yes, indeed.
Teaching him to swim and ride a bicycle, going scuba diving.
Yeah, and it's on September 25th is going to be a year for him.
God love him. Well, God love you for being there and taking care of all your responsibilities. Hey, we're going to...
A show for the serious fishermen as well as the novice looking for tips from the pros. Shake, Rattle, and Troll, brought to you by Bill Luke Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram. I-17 and Camelback Road since 1927.
We got the power, we got the speed. We're running wide open on a midsummer breeze. Freshwater, saltwater, watch out, boys. Bass Daddy Don's gonna make some noise. It's me and the boys gonna shake, rattle, and...
Now, here's your host, saltwater fisherman, the man that fears no fish, Bass Daddy and Tournament Pro, Don McDowell.
All righty, we're back. Hey, I'm Don McDowell. Welcome to the second hour of Shake, Rattle, and Troll. If you just joined us, we have Big Game Branch Chief Brian Wakeling making a move from Arizona to Nevada. And do you have feral hogs in Nevada?
You know, that's a good question. I think there's probably a few, but the thing that really seems to regulate their numbers is the availability of water. And I don't think
and a barbecue grill.
And a barbecue grill.
Well, New Mexico's getting in a position where if they don't react very swiftly, they're not going to be able to barbecue their way out of that issue. JK's in the house with us, and we have another special guest. I'm proud to introduce to you Tom Remington. You can click on your computer to tomremington.com. Tom is a very well-published, independent-thinking conservative who writes extensively and very smartly on the outdoors, the environment, climate change, rights, and current events, and I'm glad to have him on the show. Tom, welcome to Shake, Rattle, and Troll, sir.
Hey, you're welcome. I'm happy to be here.
Well, that's good. What part of the country are you camped out in? You're in Florida, or are you back up in Maine?
Presently I'm back in Florida. Been here about a week, and wishing I was back up in Maine, but that'll happen in a couple more years. So
you just came to Florida to enjoy the hurricane season?
Well, yeah, you got to get down where the action is.
Nice.
But that global warming, we've had so many hurricanes that they're non-existent now. But,
well, I know the global warming certainly a figment of Al Gore's imagination. We've had a 65% increase in the polar caps due to global warming. So.
Yes, well, they were all going to be melted by now, according to
That's
Al
right,
Gore.
California. By the way, this is John Colazar. Tom, good morning, and thank you for appearing with us.
Well, hi, John.
I've always appreciated, I walk away from your daily blogs, and I'm one of two things. Either I want to go out and attack something fiercely at the moment, and particularly in my gun sights is usually the HSUS. The Maine Bear referendum has driven me crazy over the last 6 months, and I'm disconnected because I'm 2 million miles away from Maine and as opposed as you can in terms of geography, but I empathize totally with what you're going on with out there.
Well, the biggest crime of it is, the sportsmen and whatever, we got to come up with all of this money to fight these idiots. And what a waste of resources. And I know the Humane Society of the United States is, they're loaded with money that they've managed to steal, out of the pocketbooks of millions of Americans and stuff. And, they think that they can do this through money. And this is the second time in 10 years this has gone on. And in between battles, I've tried to convince certain members up there in the state, citizens as well as politicians, that, it's time for some sort of a constitutional amendment that it's never going to stop this, but it'll deter it quite a bit, as history has shown.
Tom, give us a thumbnail of the issue and how the Humane Societies work their way into this problem.
Well, the Humane Society, it really is, of course, we all know it's based out of Washington, D.C., and, there's some small animal rights groups in Maine, that are clinging to their coattails in this whole effort. This time around, the Humane Society decided to attack bear baiting, hunting with hounds, and trapping, the whole schmeal. and they may have erred in that, but that's okay. What they're using as an attack for this is one that it's inhumane. They're really focusing on the ethics and inhumanity, if you will, of hunting this way. And the second issue is they're beating the brush with all of these claims of over 7 million pounds of junk food dumped in the Maine woods, and because of that, that's what's causing the bear increase. And
so let me get this straight: they're blaming it on donuts.
They're blaming it on donuts, yeah. And what's funny is, and I wrote about this the other day. It's funny is that someone who's quite heavily involved on the Humane Society side wrote a letter to the editor chastising the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife for not producing a specific study that showed that baiting of bears had no effect on the reproductive cycles of bears. Now, this is interesting because nobody can produce that study because they just don't know. The reproduction cycle of bears isn't anything. I guarantee you 99% of the people don't have a clue as to how bears reproduce. But that's beside the point. What they just refuse to admit is here is the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, who's had over 40 years of ongoing bear studies, and everybody in the world turns to the Maine Department of Fish and Game Department to get information on bears. So every year they study. They take the weights of bears, the age, the reproductive cycles, and everything, and they match it with natural sources of food and everything, and they readily conclude that baiting of bears has absolutely no effect on the population of bears and or their ability or inability to produce offspring.
We have a big game branch chief who's an expert in a lot of things that we are not. You have an opinion on this?
Well, I think Tom's probably very accurately. I mean, every time, just in Arizona, for instance, when we have a lot of regulations that we place on hunters. Hunting is one of the most heavily regulated things. We ask for a physical inspection of each of those animals. We extract a tooth. That tooth gives us not only age, but if we've also identified whether or not it's male or female, you can also, because of the way the cementum rings are laid down on their we can infer whether or not they've had cubs that year or whether or not they did not have cubs. And bears routinely start to breed fairly late in life, 3 to 4 or 5 years of age, and then they will typically have cubs every other year. And we can look at that. We can look at what kind of reproduction we're having, and all that can be inferred simply from the tooth. And so I'm not familiar with everything that Maine collects, but I have no doubt that they have the best data available of anybody on question.
There's obviously research models that are universally accepted in the biological field. Tom, let me ask you this. You had a article a few weeks ago about a suspect feral hog introduction in Maine. Whatever became of that?
Nothing. It's one of those things, I believe, that just kind of gets overlooked and swept under the rug. Nobody wants to talk about it, really. As we find with a lot of these things, I've tried to, communicate with members of the Fish and Game up there about it, and the best that they can come up with, whether that's an official position or not, I'm not sure, is the fact that, well, if there's feral hogs, they probably just escaped from somebody's pen. Yeah, which is possible. I mean, that's how we got them in the first place, right?
Sure.
But then you turn around and you get a lot of other people that are saying, you know what? The deer herd has essentially disappeared. up there because of lack of good management of the white-tailed deer and the lack of predator control, along with severe winters. Let's lump it all together.
Tom, I'm going to ask you to hold that thought. We've got to flip into a break and do some business for our sponsors. Can you hang with us?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. We're going to thank some of our sponsors. More with TomRemington.com. Check that out on your computer and play along with us. More from Branch Chief Brian, and JK is still on his soapbox. We'll be back.
I'm on the hunt down after you.
The preacher man says it's the end of time, and the Mississippi River, she's a going dry.
Yeah, that's global warming right there. All right, back to you, Tom. Let's go.
Yeah, well, we were talking about the hogs up there, and a lot of, I was going to say that a lot of the sportsmen up there are saying, like, well, you know what, let's bring on the hogs. We'll have something to hunt, fill up freezers with,
Yeah, well, here's some stuff. Here's some things you need to know about. I've been working on feral hog research here. It's kind of a pet peeve right now. Texas thought that in the beginning. Now they have approximately 4 million hogs. The sport shooters, aerial gunning, take out about 28% of those, that number annually. In order to keep the 4 million constant, they would have to, let's say, harvest or eradicate 60 to 70% of that 4 million number to keep it constant. They're not going to barbecue their way out. Anybody that's got hogs, they're stuck with them, period.
Yep, sure. Yeah, I believe that, and that's why I think, people understood about the hog thing. They wouldn't want them, and whatever. And then we haven't even discussed the diseases they carry. But
yeah. They're known to carry at least 45. About 6 or 8 of those are communicable to humans. Let's get off this pig thing a little bit. And I've had some discussions off air about wolves. I know you're writing a book on wolves, but the discussion is the eastern wolf and the coyote, the red wolf, and all these dogs interbreeding and hybridizing. What are your thoughts on that? And the second part of that is, what do you know about the 2,000 dogs, let's call them, because I'm not sure what they are, that are living within the Chicago city limits?
Well, it probably come as a surprise to a lot of people, but actually the turn of events in this whole wolf issue has got me to a point where I'm actually concerned about the preservation of the pure wolf species. Now, this is partially a fault of our Endangered Species Act and how we view endangered species. It's odd that we list them according to borders, but in the courts they don't recognize borders, which has always puzzled me. But the wolf has never been in danger of being extirpated or eradicated, and the problem is, because of overprotection and reintroduction, forcing the wolves back into landscapes they don't longer belong, which is human-settled landscapes. And, there's 315 million people in the United States, and I think there's 692 million dogs that live with those 315 million people, that run all over the place. And dogs are dogs. It doesn't matter whether they're wild or domesticated or whatever. They will interbreed, and because of that, we have all of this hybridization going on, and always have. But what the officials have done, they just dumb down the classification of what makes up a pure wolf. So if as long as it's got let's say 80% so-called pure wolf DNA in it, then it's a pure wolf. And it's not, but we don't understand the changes in behavior of these so-called wolves, coyotes, hybrids, when the interbreeding takes place. It is different than the pure wolf that really needs to be protected, and not these mongrels. I mean, you guys down where you are in the Southwest should have a great understanding of this, because the wolves they dump into the landscape there are captured, raised, pen-raised hybrid animals to begin with.
Thank you. That's all I can say. Yeah, I want to personally invite you to the next meeting we have with the Fish and Wildlife Service in Albuquerque.
Well, Tom, one of the things we wanted to chat with you about, too, and that is you mentioned the key factor, and that's the state constitutional amendments to get rid of these, what I will call massive spending of monies by the HSUS. I mean, they were supposed to be a 501c3. If you read their mission statement and what they do, I'm amazed at the amount of money that a 501c3 can spend on political wars when, in fact, all they were supposed to do in their original charter was to take care of animals through shelters, and they're not doing that. They're less than 2% of their money goes towards shelters, and 98% goes towards political lobbying and involving themselves in political aspects, which is expressly against what a 501c3 should be doing. Correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We could get into a 3-hour segment on just the backgrounds of these 501c3s and why they exist and why they're allowed to exist and who closes their eyes and all of that. The short of it is we're sportsmen are scrambling around trying to figure out ways to legislatively, either through enacted bills or amendments to constitutions, try to figure out a way to stop this ridiculous spending. It's all part of the. I'm sure you guys have heard lately. There's been a big push going on between these environmentalist animal rights groups about changing the paradigm on how we discuss wildlife management. And this is all part of it. And, so the Michigan just passed this Scientific Fish and Wildlife Conservation Act, and I don't know if you've had a chance to read it or not, but it's quite a toothy measure, and I'm actually surprised that some of the items that were in that act, got passed without getting watered down, too much. It'll be interesting to find out going forward from here how easily they're going to be able to circumvent this act to get what they want. But essentially, in keeping in context with wolves, the act itself basically says, okay, this act decides that a wolf is a game species, and the Natural Resources Commission for the state of Michigan will decide what happens to that animal, and nobody else can have effect to that. You can't bring lawsuits and referendums to change it.
That's what just passed, too.
Yeah, well, that's pretty well spelled out in Section 6 of the ESA to begin with.
Yeah, but Michigan finally passed the amendment to their constitution now. They're in capable hands finally. Thank goodness that happened. But, yeah, each of the states needs to do that.
Yeah, and this is all, you have to understand that this really is the result, its repercussions, pushback against the Humane Society and others who just want to co-opt wildlife management, the North American model of wildlife management, everything that has proven to be the envy of the world, and they want to change it. It reminds me of when Barack Obama got elected, and he said, the United States is the greatest country in the world. Now let's change it.
Nice.
I'll tell you what, Tom, between you and Jim Beers, I either want to go to war or I want to take massive amounts of sedatives so that I don't go to war every day I read that stuff.
We just need to move to Maine.
I would love to be up there someday.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm going back up in 3 weeks to my camp. Not in 3 weeks, for 3 weeks, and starting around the 1st of November, and I'll be up there doing things as well as hunting. So you're welcome to hop on a plane and come on up, and I'll take you out in the woods and show you what no deer look like.
Nice. You know what? I think I'll take you up on that. You know, we'll just call that a scientific research excursion, JK.
Yeah, we'll bring you down here to Arizona then in mid-July, and we'll show you what no water looks like.
Yeah, I'm thinking there's going to be a snow shovel involved. Wait a minute. One more quick question. Have you encountered from your Northwoods Law guys, Officer Simmons up there?
I haven't. I haven't had the opportunity. I was at the there's a 4-H University of Maine Conservation School program right near where my camp is up there, and these guys came and did a presentation to the kids there that took some courses on being wardens and stuff, and I was too busy probably shingling a camp roof at that time to get away and go down and meet these guys, but everything that I've heard about them has been very positive.
Well, you guys are pretty blessed to have them. I think they started the OGT issue that our OGT guy at the time, Kenny Dinkwell, took the ball and ran with it. They're doing a hell of a job here in Arizona, and I know Simmons and his band of wardens. We don't have wardens here anymore. We have game officers. They have wardens back there. Trust me. It's a big deal. Hey, I want to thank you for playing along today, and Tom, I'd like to invite you back to do a regular segment with us. You just fit right in with this party that we have every Sunday, and we appreciate you doing what you do, sir.
Well, hey, it's my pleasure to share with everybody, and anytime, just give me a jingle, I'll be here. You got it, man. TomRemington.com, check it out. Really a good thinker on a lot of subjects, and the cool part about it is he's got his finger on the pulse before we get it. So, check it out. I'm Don McDowell. We're going to flip into a break. When we come back, we're going fishing.
Them terrorists watching cable TV and walk out of Guantanamo Bay.
Worried about cutting the grass. Left my truck at the boat ramp and my boat is full of gas. My old boss thinks I'm sick today. He won't have me to harass. 'Cause I'm out here on the river. And you can kiss my big old bass.
Right on. That only means one thing. Hey, James Guggenauer is back from the Duncanby Lodge. About time.
Hey, good morning, Don.
You know, wait. You know, I appreciate you sending me photographs, but you send me lingcod, all these big fish, and I'm sitting here in
Muskie
Arizona.
man.
You know, and we got gizzard shad, and rumor has it we got alligator gar breeding somewhere. You know, come on, James.
It's good to get away and see what some real fishing's like. Right
on. Well, sounds like you had some pretty stellar fishing up there.
It is just amazing. This is Rivers Inlet, and we go to the Duncanby Marine and Lodge up there, and you can Google that. It's Duncanby, Duncanby Lodge. And, I just encourage all the listeners to check it out. We've been going there for 5 years now, and every year it just gets better and better. Whales, orcas, seals, you name it, you're going to see it up there.
Cool.
Yeah. Along with the limited salmon and those yellow eye rockfish, just unbelievable fishing up there.
Well, I have to ask you, you have all the fish there. Did they prepare those for dinner for you?
They don't prepare them for dinner. This is amazing to just watch. From the time you get back to the dock in your boat, the dock hands take the fish, take it over, weigh it, record information for the Canadian Game and Fish, fillet it.
Boy, those Game and Fish guys they're all over the planet.
Exactly. They vacuum seal it and put it in a freezer within 5 minutes.
Wow.
So it's all boxed up, ready to bring home. We brought 4 boxes of frozen fish home from Canada, and when we got back to Payson here, they were still just frozen solid.
Nice.
So it worked out really well. So I got some for you, Don and JK.
Oh, man.
I'm coming up now.
Yeah, we're on the way. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Yep, sounds great. All right, what's happening on the Mother Lake since you've been gone? I've been trying to do my best imitation of James Guggenhauer, and the only thing that comes out is kiss my big old bass. I'm out of here. So.
He lacks a little bit of the finesse and the detail that you do, Mr. Guggenhauer.
Oh, there we go. Hey, a couple of things. First, I think we are the only fishermen that are left in Arizona, because all of them are at the Juan tournament this weekend at the U.S. Open, and everybody I talk to is either up there or on their way up there.
True.
I heard that they expanded the limit and still maxed out the field at 170 boats.
Wow.
So Bill Egan's going to be a real happy camper here next week with the U.S. Open. Clifford Birch is up there. A lot of us know he's won it a couple of times, come in second like 4 times. So he'll definitely be one of the guys to keep their eye on up there. But
well, you know, we've talked about this before with all the Western talent coming in, that coupled with talent from other parts of the country, we've got some of the best fishermen on the planet. And it's like having a bag of rattlesnakes. You can get bit any time by any one of them.
Absolutely. And there's, you know, if you just look at the couple of years of finishes in these tournaments are just unbelievable. Somebody always ends up coming out of nowhere, it seems like, to either win it or just miss winning it. And it's a fun tournament to watch. You can watch it online.
That pretty much sums up my encounters with rattlesnakes. They just come out of nowhere.
Exactly. Hey, for the rest of us, though, bass fishing on Roosevelt was called good this past week, and we're getting good reports from both ends of the lake. There's fresh water running in on the Tonto and the Salt from the monsoons that we had, and it's amazing what just a little bit of water, how it can make a good difference in fishing. Best times to fish are from first light until about noon. Guys are saying afternoon, the bite definitely drops off, and you got to be fishing deeper for them. But up until noon, there's a lot of bass that are chasing shad in the backs of coves. A lot of good topwater baits are working back there. The Rico was mentioned again this week, and I haven't heard that for a couple of weeks. After the sun comes up and it gets a little higher in the sky, you want to go to a drop shot technique in 20 to 25 feet of water off a main lake point, or a dark colored jig in a 3/8 ounce was also reported successful.
That sounds like pretty solid advice across the board, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much summertime patterns, but we still see that, you know, that early fall pattern is definitely coming for sure. So the cooler it gets in the mornings, the more frequently you're going to see the bass pushing those shad. They just do that in the fall, getting into the early winter.
Jim, let me ask you about the lake levels. We've had some monsoons over the past couple of weeks. What's happened to the water level?
Yeah, it has remained constant. What's happening, Don, is it seems like the exact amount that they're taking out of the lake for use down in the valley seems to be replenished. So, you know, each day the flows are pretty good, but they're also taking out a good bit. But we've been really fortunate this year. We're at 38% full. The water's still flowing, and we have not had an algal bloom. We haven't had any big fish kills, and it's kept the lake pretty much at a safe level.
Well, we may dodge that algal bloom bullet this year. You know, with the new water coming in, there's a lot of oxygen, new oxygen levels coming up. So hopefully you're right. What I don't get is the more water comes in, the more water they take out. I'm not quite tracking on that.
You got a good point there, but you recall back, I know in the early summer, Don, we were talking there, we were fearful that the lake was going to get down to the mid to low 20%, and we've been able to fortunately avoid that, and that's all due to the I won't call it good monsoons, but the average monsoon that we've had this year.
Well, we had predictions of, between 30 and 35%, so hopefully we can,
Right. And we still may end up there. You know, they're going to take water probably for the month of September. Usually in October is when we see the drop-off for taken large amounts out of Roosevelt.
Well, what we have missed and dodged, usually the day before, 2 days before dove season, we get a killer storm in here and chase the white wings out of here. So yeah, we missed that this year.
Yeah, that's for sure. Hey, just a quick update on the trout stockings, the Arizona Game and Fish trout stockings for the East Verde River and Hagler Creek. They're ending effective this week. Now, there's some trout stockings that are continue at Canyon Lake, Willow Springs, and Woods Canyon Lake, and also the Tonneau Creek. But it's only going to go a couple more weeks, and then they shut down that stocking. So if you're headed to one of the rim lakes, I've got some good reports from a guy named Dennis Perch, who's pretty plugged into the trout fishing up there. He says power baits, panther martins, and Met spinners were reported successful.
All right, good stuff. Is he still spending a lot of time on Hagler?
Dennis?
Yeah.
You know as well as I do, he lives on that creek.
Well, yeah. How about the elk starting to rut in your backyard? Is that happening?
Yep. I forgot to tell you that earlier. We got home Monday and Tuesday night, the elk were bugling, and I've heard them every night bugling so far. In addition to that, we've had our first flock of Canadian geese that flew over Payson here a couple of days ago.
Green Valley Park again?
Is going to be very green now.
Yep, they head right down to Green Valley. And
well, I think this year we absolutely need to conduct a scientific goose survey and submit our findings to the department. That doesn't fall under big game, by the way. Is we're going to do a population analysis on Goose Flats on Roosevelt versus the numbers in Green Valley. Okay.
Green Valley is going to win, you know that.
and then we're going to who do we submit our findings to lift the goose closure buoys?
I couldn't even tell you.
Well, you've got, any 1 to 16 different agencies to choose from, including SRP.
The only thing you can count
SRP if I was SRP, I'd be concerned about what the geese are putting in the lake.
Yeah,
let's just say.
That can cause your algal bloom.
Yeah, buddy. All righty, hey man, I'm really glad you're back. You do such a fine job on this report. It's difficult to emulate all the good things that you do.
He does
James.
that poorly, just so you know, James.
Yeah, I'll be the first to admit. Fishing was good. I'm out of here. All right, James, God love you, man. We'll talk to you next week. James Guggenauer, master rod builder from RimCountryCustomRods.com. Check him out. If you don't have one, order one. We'll be back. All righty, we're back. We're going to get this thing wrapped up today. NASCAR's on. Big Mike's sitting on the couch with his...
I know he is.
Got his notebook thing going on, and his Danica Patrick pajamas and his Jeff Gordon hat.
Danica Patrick pajamas?
Yeah, go figure. Big Mike.
What,
and
the bikini top?
DP pajamas? Are you kidding me?
Oh, no.
That's just wrong.
Yes.
I mean, even rooting for Jeff Gordon.
Rooting for Jeff Gordon's
Tony
right.
Stewart's back from his...
that's going to be a tough race.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching to see how Tony's head is. That was a pretty drastic thing that happened to him, and certainly Kevin Ward. But, we got a lot of young guns out there. Joey Logano did just a hell of a job in the 22 Pennzoil last week on a short track. I was a little surprised at that. I was looking to see Clint Boyer and Carl Edwards get out there and slug it out, but everybody has problems, including Jeff Gordon. They just gave him enough rubber band to run 40 laps, and
time's up.
He does the best job that he can.
He's won 3 times this year. Won 3 times.
So did a lot of other people in court.
No,
including
3
Junior.
racers have won 3 races.
Junior's right up there. Oh yeah, he is. Look at the stats. Back to you, Brian. You follow NASCAR?
Mr. Nevada.
You know, I don't.
I don't blame you.
All you do is fight.
Yeah,
Left turn, sir.
Sounds like hockey.
Here's the deal: 76% of NASCAR fans have a fishing and hunting license.
That is big.
Go figure.
Yeah.
The math.
Yeah.
Last week they had at Bristol Motor Speedway, half-mile track. They had 160,000 people in a facility that would only hold 150.
Yeah, and the American Hearing Aid Association was thrilled that they all showed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Good stuff. This is our last segment. I want to again thank you for coming down. Thank you for your service to the state.
Thank you for all the meetings where you ridiculed me, Brian.
I've tried to. One of the things I think government employees learn is how to,
say this guy's a jerk nicely.
We try.
Is what it is, JK.
Yeah. I've gone on record, and he's come back a few times and said, there was this comment by Mr. Colazar where he indicated that the bull-to-cow ratio was really less than 30 bulls per 100 cows, but he commented that 60% of those bulls were spikes or raghorns, and it's really not true. It was only 25%, which means that our factor variable was online. And I'm going, what did he just say?
That really left a mark on you, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
It did. And then we got a briefing. We went from 22,000 elk to 55,000.
That was a quantum leap. I was impressed.
Well, and it's not that we keep looking for better ways to conduct our surveys. We keep looking for better ways to estimate numbers, and that's why we've always been very reluctant to share numbers, frankly, because as the science continues to improve, we get better numbers. They may not be numbers that we like as well, but I think our estimates today are far better than they were historically when we were using primarily a computer model.
A population model.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I knew you could do flyovers and you could do grids, and those grids you had a citer, and when the grid was accomplished and you multiplied by X and we drove the roads, and if you saw 3 elk, then you multiplied that by 2.86, and that was your elk count for that area.
Well, and right now, I mean, we just recently made a release to the hunting public. We are trying to improve our surveys even now. We've got an ongoing survey study going on, and that may influence people, but we're not. This isn't we're not out here trying to buzz people and get problems out there. We have to survey when the most animals are available to be observed, and that gives us the best estimates.
Okay, I have a question for you then. Long term, say 20 years from now. Do you think with the microchip technology that we will have an accurate count so that we'll know where every single elk in the state is? It's possible to do that.
Yeah, but
financially it would be expensive.
Brian, the good news is this is the last time you have to put up with this kind of questioning.
Yeah, you never know. You may.
I can call it. I'll do a blue slip for Nevada.
Yeah. Hey, but, this week we do have some hunts starting this week, and tomorrow, first day of dove season.
Bam, bam.
15 bird bag limit. You can take 15 morning till still 10 whitetail. And the possession limit's 45, so this is really a great opportunity.
Yeah, that's a huge increase. How much is the European Eurasian banded dove?
The Eurasian collared doves?
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah, you can hunt them year long. There's an unlimited bag on those.
But there's an identification process when they're flying 45 miles an hour treetop.
Well, if you're looking at them a lot, there's people who can do it. But if you can see a Eurasian collared dove, if you turn around, you're probably within sight of a house. You just don't see them out in the desert very much.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
I know they're thick at
discharge of a firearm 440 yards. Correct?
Usually. Yes, that is correct.
Don't try that in Glendale. They've got this device. If you discharge a firearm, they'll be at your house in 20 minutes because they triangulate it.
They've always done that to his house, just so you know.
Yeah. Well, that'd be Officer Bob that stopped by. Well, anyway, getting back to wishing you farewell and good luck on your new mission. There's some side benefits to doing shake, rattle, and troll. We don't always.
What are they?
Well, at the end of our day, and that's coming more sooner than later. We're not going to be doing this. We're not going to be able to hunt, but we're going to have the relationships that we have built because we're all going to be sitting on the rocking porch. I mean, you've got a limited amount of time. You're younger than both of us. but there's going to come a day when you're going to get the rocker out, put it on the porch, and we're going to talk about, hey, did I ever tell you about the time?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And
he does that now, just so you know, Brian.
Yeah.
Well, and it's really great. I've had a great opportunity here to work with some really and early on in my career, I often found myself at odds with different individuals that because we've worked together for so hard and so long, and we've talked a lot today about negotiating and about coming to an agreement and bringing our ideas to the table and talking to each other. That's what's been really rewarding here.
Cool.
You guys, I can't tell you how many people I've had so much support from over the years. I'm really going to miss a lot of you in Arizona and Arizona.
Well, I feel the same way, but the things that we're able to do, and, a lot of times we're on different sides of the fence on these issues, but, you're dealing with a Brian or a Chris or a Larry or a Jim, and at the end of the day, you're going to shake hands, pat each other on the back, go, you know what, we're going to do this next week.
Yeah, and we're both at the fence. We're not throwing at it from the street.
There was a couple things that happened in the past few weeks. There was unidentified aircraft buzzing antelopes. Any
Did you
news
get
on that?
Any news on that?
I have not heard. I'm not aware of any at this point.
Okay. All right, we got about a minute to wrap this up. All I can tell you is good luck, thank you, and I'm honored to call you my friend.
Me too. I'm very honored for both of you.
Same applies to you, JK.
I'm sorry.
kick that soapbox, will you?
Yes, I will.
JK, we got about 30 seconds. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, for any of those juniors deer hunters who are drawn for Unit 23, the Arizona Deer Association is having basically a camp where people can come in if they need help with finding animals, if they need help with pulling them out of the field, or if they just want to come in and have a meal and talk to people. We're going to be doing that whole weekend of the juniors hunt. I think it's October 9th through the 13th.
And the website address is?
ada.org.
Org. I thought that was like a pirate term.
ArizonaDeer.org.
Org.
Yeah.
All righty, guys. Thanks for listening. Hope you learned something. Good luck, Brian. We'll look forward to having Tom Remington back, and
we're going to
continue in the mission.
We'll share some ideas on how to do bull-to-cow ratios here after a little bit.
All righty. Hey, take your kids. You should hug your bass boat. Wow, nice one.
I just got slammed as he's walking out the door.
Well done, Brian. We're out of here.